We're going to start in a couple minutes. Just wait for people to come in. I actually found a bunch of recordings of some drummings we did in rituals. So I'm playing them in the beginning. This is from a ritual we did a couple years ago, actually. We get started in a minute here. Just making sure I got everything running. All right, peace and greetings to all the gods and goddesses on the path doing the work. As I said, that was actually that particular drumming. I found Brother Seth Athner, who's one of the drummers on that. Myself, Brother Jack, might have been Brother Adler on there. I can't remember. That was from October 27, 2017. He had sent me clips of. I found them. I actually had them saved, forgot. So I'm going to be utilizing some of the actual live drumming that took place in some of the rituals over the years. That was actually a 25-minute, part of a 25-minute clip from the triad of light and darkness ritual we did back in 2017. One of the drumming parts was 25 minutes by itself. Some of those rituals can get a little intricate, the ones that involve drumming. Especially the ones that involve drumming. They can go a couple hours sometimes. It just depends on what we're working with. So I have a few I'll be kind of just bouncing around with. I just figure I utilize them while we wait for people to come in. But we're here. Peace and greetings to everybody. Obviously, a lot of travel in the last 2 weeks. That's come to a head. Going to briefly talk about that. Some of you's probably seen, I posted 2 short clips from the work we did this past week in New York. So I want to give a shout out to my brother Angel, that you see in the chat room, Brother Angel Figueroa. I'm going to talk about, I talked a little bit about in the video, but for the first few minutes, I'm going to go through that real quick. I want to give Angel a big shout out for locating the cemetery. Shout out to Alicia, who I see her in here, Alicia Molina. I want to thank her for the elements she added to the ritual. Sister Patra, Raven, Sister Janice, who am I missing? Brother Fashad, it was good to meet for the first time. Brother Rashad, Mama Muerte, Brother Dave. Am I leaving anybody out? I think I covered everybody. Oh, and Sister Rosa. I don't know if she's in here. We had 11 people that came for the ritual we did this past Saturday. Originally, we had 16, 5, couple people. I know it was Keisha, then Crystal, and a couple others. We had like 4 or 5 people that couldn't make it. Originally, we were slated for about 16 or 17. We wind up having 11, which things just happen because they're supposed to happen. And I don't say that in any spooky shape, form, or fashion. Everything kind of worked in harmony. Okay, when I say in harmony, I talked a little bit about it in the videos. For those that didn't see it, I'm just going to go through it real briefly. One, nothing was planned. Literally nothing was planned. The only thing that was planned was having a meetup, a gathering, and kind of just, my thought process was just go with the flow. I did want to do some type of ritualistic work, had a couple of ideas, but wasn't sure based on our resources or where we were going to go. The cemetery kind of came up. I ran some stuff across Sister Patra. She was looked into some stuff. Alicia had looked into some stuff. But then Angel came up with a spot that's close to him in the Bronx, where we had access, to the cemetery 24/7. And obviously we wanted to do this kind of later in the evening. And Alicia came with a big ass bag that you'll see in the video that pretty much had everything in it you needed to do a working. She had candles and water, stones, crystals, herbs, all types of shit you can think of. People picked up cigars, flowers. Things just came together. Some of the stuff was picked up along the travel and the journey. And something I want to share that I may not have shared in the video. We met in Midtown Manhattan, and Brother Angel said something that's probably going to stay with me, because those are some of the things that we might take for granted as being very small or minute, or we don't think it's a big part, of the spiritual work. The taking the journey from Midtown way uptown as a group the dialoguing, the socializing, meeting each other. That is a powerful part of the journey. And Brother Angel had commented about that. That is part of the spiritual experience. It kind of reminded me, for those that remember, I know, that of my age, or maybe you're a movie head, the movie The Warriors, where they had to get from way uptown in the Bronx, way back to Coney Island. It kind of reminded me of that. We were riding due to construction and getting to where we got to go. It had that kind of element feel to it. And some funny experiences along the way, I must say. Some of us who were traveling back to Manhattan wind up kicking it to like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, as we found a diner after everything was over. But Angel made an important point. That fellowshipping, that getting together and talk, that can't be negated, because that's part of the experience. It's a huge part, especially on this path where, we're unique on this path in the sense this is not a popular, well, let me not say popular. It's not a mainstream path of spirituality. And some always struggle with not finding like-minded people on this path. Yeah, I gotta tell the story about Mama Muerte. Oh, that's funny as shit. Literally, it's about shit. But that's an important part, because it's hard to connect sometimes with people of like mind, like way of thinking on the same path. So over and all, it was the whole experience of getting there. And then when we got there, now again, I mentioned this in the video. I'm gonna run through it real quick. Alicia had came to see me a couple of days prior to that for a reading, but I didn't talk to her. Maybe text in between, but didn't discuss the ritual with her, what we were gonna do, or nothing. And she showed up with her bag of goodies. And I'm going to show you why I'm explaining all this and why I think this is important. In the trip and travel, flowers, cigars, and things were just, none of this was discussed. You know what I'm saying? None of this was discussed. It just started to gel and come together. My point being is, when you're connected to the energy, this is the difference of what I talk about in many videos over the year. When you're doing the work, you're connected to the current and the energy, things just naturally come together. It's hard to put into words to explain. It's like everybody was on the same wavelength, vibration, and frequency. Again, nothing was planned until the very moment we got to the, up until nothing was planned, until we got even to the cemetery. Everything was done spontaneously right on the spot. We found the spot. We did our little stuff before we entered. We tolled the bell 9 times. Tossed some coins in there for Papa Legua, multiples of 9. And that number was prominent. And mind you, we were right by the 6 train. All right. And the 6 train went by 3 times. We had that multiple of 9. Three trains went by. It is just crazy. Everything was lined up and in sequence. As we entered, we didn't realize till afterwards we set up. We wound up setting up by a gravestone because it was pretty dark in there. We formed a circle literally around the circle, and we had an obelisk monument behind us, a memorial, which was fucking crazy. We know what obelisk represent in ancient Egypt, and how they are conductors, and what the needle represents, and how it houses energy, and the symbolicism. So we were just being led to where we were supposed to be. And I don't say that in a spooky sense, not in some mystical religious sense, like a religious person would say. Well, everything was just in sequence. And the ill thing about it, and we all experienced it, and I experienced it hard, because this week I'm getting ready to do work with Arachne, the spider goddess. We were getting bombed by spider webs. And again, when I say bombed, as I said in that little clip I posted, we weren't getting bombed. Yeah, walking under trees, areas like that is normal to run into spider webs. That's not where it was. This shit was happening in the open, in the middle of nowhere. So the spirit of the spider goddess was definitely present in that cemetery. She is one of the Klipothic demons of the abode. She is one of the demons of the void and darkness, a crossroad deity, one that assists, with transition, change, and evolving. We worked with a multitude of aspects, as I mentioned in the video, Set, Lucifer, who we're going to talk about in a minute. We're going to get into Set in a minute. Papa Legba, Mama Cholo, Arachne, the spider goddess, Santa Muerte, where there was a part of the ritual with Santa Muerte, the Holy Death that was incorporated. So there was a lot of energy incorporated in this particular ritual. And as I said, it went in sequence. And again, thanks to, all of those that showed up, helped, and everybody pretty much helped in some shape, form, or fashion, assisting. I'll tell you one thing, man. Some Florida water carrying motherfuckers off. I think everybody has some goddamn Florida water. Like, everybody's pulling that shit out there. But yeah, again, shout out to everybody that helped. Sister Patra, Rosa, Janice. Again, shout out to Brother Angel for finding the location. Sister Alicia, who really enhanced the ritual, and she did a prosperity ritual towards the end. Prosperity for spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically, and financially. That kind of enhanced the ritual. We did the cursed tablets of the dead ritual. We combined about 3 different elements in this work, and as I said, most will know it'll have an effect consciously and subconsciously for a while. It'll be work that you can continue to grow from and evolve from. But like I said, it couldn't have went any better, and it was pure chaos magic on the fly. And that's pretty much my thoughts on that. I wanted to throw that out there. As far as future gatherings in New York, we are already discussing that. I've touched base with the group that I just mentioned. I have a group email with them. There's a couple of things I want to do with, since that's my hometown, that's my people of New York. I'm going to have some private online sessions with them. I'm going to send some emails out about that for those in that area. And we're already in the beginning discussions of doing a full-blown indoor working in a few months. I'm looking to do it in a few months indoors, the whole, full bells and whistles, black robes, pentagrams, ritualistic tools, incense, mantras, chanting, the whole nine. We incorporated some mantras and chants in this cemetery work. And beautiful thing was, we was in there it was like within a vortex, no disturbances. Nobody was focused on anything on the outside. And we were in a pretty, urban area in the Bronx. It was, right by the subway, and there was activity going on not far from there. But again, when you're in tune with the spirits and working with the energy, things just tend to, gel. So we're looking to do, Angel's looking into some stuff. I know some of the other members have contacted me. They're looking into a space that we could use for a few hours. Really, my goal is to come from a Thursday to Sunday, maybe do a 2-day thing. If we can get space for 2 days, I have a couple of ideas I would like to do in New York. And it's always good for me to come home to New York to see my sisters and my family. So, it's kind of good to be around that energy for me. And I'm home 3-4 times a year. I try to get there about 3-4 times a year. So what I'm looking or would like to do on the next one, at least one day, but if an opportunity presents itself where we have space maybe for 2 nights, we can turn this into 2 different functions. And again, I want to give, shout outs to people that actually came to me, Keisha, Alicia, that actually came to me. When I'm in New York, I will try to make myself available to do live readings with you in person. So overall, it provides a lot of avenues and opportunities to do different type of spiritual work. So it was beautiful. And again, Sister Alicia is a powerful sister. I could tell by talking to her and the journey that she's on. I found out with Sister Patra, we actually have a lot in common as far as our past history coming up through, spiritual doctrines, a lot in common. We probably even have crossed paths in the past and didn't even realize it after talking. So it's just, again, things happen for a reason. When the spirit is guiding you and leading you, and you're tapped into the current, that's what happens. That's how it works, and it's a beautiful thing. So overall, outside of our horrible experience getting back, terrible experience getting back with flight delays, finally got back very late yesterday. after getting a flight canceled and then having to, get on a later flight. But anyway, I'm not going to let that part even affect the positive energy of the ritual. But over and all, great experience. So this is just the beginning of New York. It's good to connect with people in the hometown. So again, moving forward, I'm looking to establish consistent work at least a couple of times throughout the year there. And I already feel, I know it's going to grow. It's going to, as we keep doing the work there, I already feel it and know it's just going to keep evolving and growing. So we'll learn. I know there's a couple of options for space. I know Mama Muerte, she's close to the tri-state area. Angel's looking into some stuff. So I can't remember. Somebody else contacted me, but we look like we have a couple of options already that we are looking into. Indoor workings, we can incorporate drumming and a lot of the personal stuff. We can set up environments where we can bring the spirits down. Things of that nature, which you kind of need to do in a private setting. But we are down here in Fort Lauderdale. A couple quick announcements. We do have a ritual coming up, believe it or not, next Friday. And just to remind people, we do ritualistic work once a month here in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. That's been going on since I think about 2016 now, late 2016. We started doing ritualistic work this month, which August 30th, next week, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to be doing the ritual of the pentagram of Set, working with the different aspects of Set. If you are interested in attending that ritual, you need to contact me via email and request an invite. The cutoff day will be Wednesday, the 28th. After the 28th, we will not be taking any more invites. I know there's a couple of people coming from out of state, places as Seattle, Washington. I believe we got one person coming from New York, if I'm not mistaken. So we need a head count when we do rituals like that, so the ritual could be accounted for. So if you're interested, hit me up. Also, on the 25th to the 27th, we're getting more people confirming for that event. That's also going to be here in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, October 25th to the 27th. We are going to have the Journey of the Black Adept Conference #2. This will be our second one, which we decided after last year to make it an annual yearly event. And I would also like to make, possibly after doing a few gatherings in New York, maybe have an annual event every year in New York where it's a little bit bigger. Maybe do like a 2 or 3 day workshop type of thing like we do here. I know New York can get a little pricey renting spaces out, but it's different, a little different in New York. You could be a little creative. So I'm looking down the road to get something like that going. I would like to do some drummings there. Obviously, the issue is traveling with all my drums and things of that nature. That poses a challenge, just trekking all that shit on a plane. Because obviously, if you've seen in past videos, you're talking about djembes, big ass djembes, congas. I got an Egyptian djembe drum, a talking drum, plus all the other instruments, the rattles, the shakers. I would like to look into possibly, I know people there, maybe, that's another added element, try to find where we can get access to some drums. But that's a little touchy sometimes when they're personal and consecrated. You can't play anybody's drums. That's a whole nother story. But we'll work it out. I already know that shit's gonna start to evolve as far as that. So looking and excited moving forward for that. So that event is on the 25th and the 27th here in Florida. If you are interested in presenting at that event on a left-hand path or on a occult topic, already at the itinerary is filling up quick. A lot of women presenters this year, which I'm glad to see that. I think myself and maybe Brother Seth, there's only 2 male presenters at this one up until right now. I'm not going to be doing too much at it because I'll be doing a class with you guys live that weekend, or like a kind of a question and answer type of session. So I'm not going to really be doing too many presentations. We kind of did that last year. So if you're interested, again, the email is right in the contact. Spiritual consultations and readings. Obviously, as I was gone, I didn't do any online. I am very busy starting tomorrow. I'm back at it hard. I still can get to you in a 2 to 3 day window right now. I can't get to anybody before 2 days. I know that for sure right now. So I will be busy as deep starting tomorrow as I'm back in my office. I will be getting on that tomorrow. Matter of fact, 10:30, 11, I think is my first one. So I will get back in the swing of that. Again, I got a bunch already waiting for me in addition to the more that's coming in. All right, for any of those things, you can email me, kanoom19@gmail.com. It's right in the description box. Having said that, tonight's topic, you see the word in Xeper. Some pronounce Xeper, Xeper. You'll see it spelled a couple of different ways. I want to talk about two key components about this path that's critical, or what it represents. Now, Xeper and the black flame of Set, in different spiritual systems, and depending on, when I say the school of thought or the philosophy, you're going to see very similar aspects of what it represents. Most are in line and in accordance with overall in general represents, but there might be some variances as it's applied to some of them different spiritual systems. So I'm going to kind of speak on its totality. And as I said, on this path, the beautiful thing is, whether it's Luciferianism, whether it's Heka, Egyptian black magic, you should investigate and study different methodologies. There's not one particular philosophy or system that is 100% correct. There's no such thing, okay? Though individuals that belong to those philosophies and systems would like to believe that in their mind, of course. If you belong to one of those, of course, you're going to think that. But I found in my experience to, when I say investigate, study and absorb different systems, so you as the master or the god or goddess of your path can choose and identify with what resonates with you, as opposed to somebody telling you what you should and should not accept. As I said before, I'll be damned. Nobody's going to tell me what I can and cannot do. Nobody's going to tell me what to accept and what not to accept. I'm going to make that decision. Just as all of you who are on this path are going to make that, or should be making that decision for yourself. And as I said many times in the past, that doesn't mean you cannot have elders, teachers, and guides. That's cool. It don't mean you can't belong to esoterical orders and societies. That's cool. But it becomes a danger when that becomes the dictate or the dictator to what you should be doing on your path. Okay? You should always be the sole governor and ruler of your spirituality. Nobody should be making decisions for you but you. And if you belong to any group or organization that tells you what you can and cannot do, my advice from day one has always been get out of it as quick as you can. Because as soon as you start lowering yourself and surrendering your divinity unwillingly to these wolves, these devourers, and devouring not for a good reason, some fucked up shit usually winds up evolving after that. All right, so I want to make that clear. So Xeper, you'll see it, Xeper, you'll see that spelt sometimes in vampiric systems. You'll find that sometimes vampire magic. I've seen it written a few times. The Temple of Set will spell it like that. You'll see it also spelled Kheper. There's a connection with Xeper, the sun deity, the scarab beetle, because of what it represents. So there's a strong symbolism. So as far as Xeper is concerned, let's talk about first its symbolism, what it represents to the black adept or the initiate. Now, Xeper simply is coming into the realization to who and what you really are. And the adept is always seeking Xeper. Xeper is not, there's no structure or format where here is the criteria and the guideline. You can't automatically or structurally obtain Xeper. That comes naturally through your work. So the adept is constantly seeking moments or aspects of Xeper. Some will say, yes, you can use the term an aha moment. Xeper can be as simple as reading something and this clear awareness comes to you and you just stop and go, oh, that's what that shit is, blah, 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 1 and 1, 2, 2. bam, and it just hits you out of the blue. Xeper could be looking at things and seeing them for what they really are, meaning you might be doing something an entire way your whole life, and as you experience Xeper, you start to now see it for what it truly is. Xeper also represents constant transformation, growing, and changing. That's why it's all embodied under the aspect of coming into the realization of who you really are, your divine potential, who you were destined to be, which there is a connection there with the isolated consciousness. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that because that's connected to the black flame of Set. In my opinion, Xeper, the black flame of Set, and the isolated consciousness, they are not the same. I want to make that clear, which we'll discuss. They are not the same, but there is a connection. They are in a sense intertwined. They do work in conjunction with each other. All right. Yes, I did. I forgot about that. Dr. Edward Bruce Bynum will be on tomorrow. Thank you, Raven. Totally forgot about that. Yeah, let me remind the listeners tomorrow. I'm sorry. Yes, tomorrow night show. I'm only on tonight, Wednesday, because I'm getting back late from the trip. We'll go back to the regular Tuesday. And tomorrow night, Dr. Edward Bruce Bynum will be on the show. We'll be talking about ancient civilizations and modern science. I'm looking forward to that show. That's tomorrow night, 8 o'clock. This Sunday, I will actually also be on Zoom with our brother Ravana Noon. He does some shows that he does on Zoom, and then he uploads them. We're going to be talking about the subjective disease and sickness. I'm not going to even get into that now. I'm going to save that for Sunday. But you must contact him for an invite. That is on his platform. He is the one that has to send you the invite. You can contact him at darkoccultist99@outlook.com. I think you can also contact, I see in here, Brother Necro Cannon. I believe he can also send you an invite because he does, I believe, shows on there too. So if you're interested in that, that's going to be this Sunday night, 7 o'clock. So send an email. Yeah, and the brother, I just see him responding. He's in here. You can also maybe side message him. He could probably send you an invite. So myself and Brother Ravana Noon, though we've kind of done our own platforms and we haven't done anything in a while, we're going to try to get together once in a while. You know, he's got his thing he's doing where he's at. He's got his thing up and running, established. And, you know, I'm doing what I'm doing here, and we haven't gotten together. But something actually sparked this coming together to do this video, which I'll save for Sunday. Fools with their nonsense, but it's going to be raw. That's going to be a different energy, a different spirit. If you're not into profanity, that's probably not the video or the class you want to tune into. I can tell you there's going to be a lot of fuck bombs being dropped on that one. I get passionate about that subject, passionate about certain things. I know he does. So that's going to be aggressive. That's not going to be laid back. I could already tell you how that one's going to go. But anyway, that's going to be Sunday. Forgot those two announcements. I appreciate Raven and then remembering that one. So as I said, the black flame, Xeper, and the isolated consciousness of Set, they're completely different, but they are intertwined and connected. They do work in conjunction with each other. So we need to understand these. Now, as I said before, Xeper, in essence, is coming into the realization of who and what you really are. And remanifestation is part of the process of Xeper. We always talk about shadow work and doing deconstruction or destruction work and reconstruction or remanifestate. Well, part of the Xeper process is to remanifest the real you. That is why we are on this path. We want to go through that remanifestation process because, one, we realize when we come to this path, right? And when we use the concepts of Egyptian Heka or black magic, when the initiate enters the pylon, the doors or the gateway, right? He is now approaching and entering the threshold of becoming what he or she is truly capable of. So first we realize through our shadow work that, look, I got to fix these things about myself in order for me to be, evolve into what I'm destined or who and what I really am. To even start to obtain Xeper, one must do that shadow work. One must do the critical analyzation of themselves, the good and bad aspects of themselves, and be honest with themselves about the things that they need to work on, from the very mundane to the more intricate, okay? And it's also very important to understand how that connects with the subjective realm, the mental, and the objective. Because, as I said many times before, there must be that harmonious connection. Some call it balance. I prefer to call it harmony. Because harmony is when things are flowing and in sync and they're constantly moving. I don't like balance because it represents stillness or stagnation. I know we hear that in Egyptian terms as far as ma'at, it represents balancement. And as I said before, you can't fully understand the principles of ma'at until you understand the 7 Hermetic principles of Tahuti, right? The Hermetic principles deal with the subjective realm. It will help you understand what initiates to study and master. Probably one of the first occult writings I read years back. And when I say years back, I'm probably going to say it's the Kabbalion, and it goes back to the scrolls or the Emerald tablets of Tahuti. You should really study that because it'll help you understand the subjective realm. Then Ma'at comes into play. Now, we're always taught in systems of spiritual consciousness that, you should focus on Ma'at this, Ma'at that. And that kind of plays into the hands of how we're indoctrinated with religion, because religion, be it the 3 most prominent monotheistic religions, Islam, Christianity, and Judaism, they're always teaching us from an outward or a physical perspective first, not from an inward or a spiritual perspective. Again, the difference of obtaining Xeper, and all these are gifts of the black flame, is that journey that starts within. You must start first within. In order to know the gods, you must know yourself first. Well, the gods and the goddesses. Let's not be chauvinistic about it, right? You have to know yourself first, because if you know yourself, then you can know the gods and the goddesses, because they are a reflection of you. That's what the archetypes are. Then you can put on the deific mask and look through the eyes of these gods. You can't do that if you don't understand yourself, because again, when you are working with archetypes, and in this case, Set, what does Set represents, right? He has many different significant representations. He represents the god of chaos, the god of storms, transformation, change. He represents the ability to make order out of chaos. We know the strong connection with Set and Apep, right? We know the story of the journey of Ra through the underworld. And that story represents us as adepts of initiate. I'm going to go on something in a couple of weeks now with Azazel. 3 different forms of the adversary, Azazel, Lucifer, Set. That's going to be something I'm going to do in a couple of weeks, because I'm going to show you how that's all connected. But you see, he goes through the journey of the underworld, Ra, trying to destroy and eliminate chaos, and he's not successful. He's only successful when you read the story of him going through the pylons or the gates. He's only successful when he encounters Set, Heru, right? Which we know what that represents. And I believe that's at the 7th gate, right? He struggles because he can't get past the Pep at the 3rd gate, if you're familiar with the story, right? That represents us. And I did a whole video on this a couple months ago. Go back and watch it when you get time. We at one point had that mentality that Ra had. That's what religious people do. They think they can destroy and eliminate chaos. You cannot destroy energy, people. All energy is productive. It's just you got to know how to utilize it. Religious people don't understand. The problem is the devil or the adversary is just another energy. They spend their whole times teaching and preaching, you must destroy the devil, eliminate the devil. That's their problem right out the gate. It shows they don't understand what real spirituality is about. The adversary is just what is adverse to what they're promoting as the norm. But to us on this path, the biblical God would be, we would look at the biblical God as the adversary, the way the Christians, the Muslims, and the Jews would look at Set or Lucifer. And it's funny because it shows they're both different aspects of the same thing. So we as adepts and gods and goddesses, we know it's all the same energy. It's just knowing how to facilitate and work with it. See, we don't look at it as one as being God or the devil. And we don't even use that English term on this path, the devil. We have titles and attributes or deific mass titles for these deities because of the energies. It describes the energies that they work with. And this is a manifestation of what resides within you. So when you're looking at Set and what it represents, and in this case, we'll focus on Set because that's what we're talking about tonight. You're looking at activating aspects of yourself, transformation, change, all those things I just mentioned a minute ago. That's why you should be working with Seth. Now, why he is always identified with one of the strongest, and in my opinion, probably the most important archetype on this path, because he embodies everything that we need to work with as far as evolving on this path, right? He has many different aspects, which were the ritual that we're going to do on the 30th will be tying into that. And the beauty of it is that also identifies the work or the manifestation of the energy that's coming from within you that you need to connect with. So if you don't know yourself, if you haven't identified shadow work that you need to do, how in the world are you going to connect with these different deities, archetypes, or energies? Whatever description you need to connect with them, you can't. So that's why we always start with inner work, shadow work. You must start there. Know thyself, and thou shalt know the gods. We hear this in alchemy. We hear this all the time. It's a famous occult saying. What does it really mean? It's followed right after that with the Baphomet symbol, one of the most popular occult symbols. Notice I said symbols, not deity. Because the ignorant will have you believe, the spooky people that don't know the occult, don't know the left-hand path, don't know the path of self-mastery, think that Baphomet is some type of demonic devil monster that people worship in Satanism. Let me make this clear. And even in modern day Satanism, nobody looks at Baphomet as a deity. But I connected it with know thyself and thou shalt know the gods through the Baphomet symbol, and what it represents is a symbol of how you truly get to know yourself because of everything that's encoded in the Baphomet symbol. And that's why the early Church of Satan used it as their key symbol, right? It was present in all their rituals, the Black Mass and all their other ritualistic workings because of what it represented. It was an androgynous energy or symbol. It represented masculine and feminine, right? You see the goat face of a man, the breasts of a female. You see all the four elements, earth, wind, air, fire. You see earth, fire, water, the human element. You see the kundalini rising or the flame, the scales in the abdomen of Baphomet representing the water. You see the as above, so below, as within, so without, right? You see him perched on the earth. As we know, a goat likes to be perched up high on a mountain so it can look down on its subject, right? We as Adam, we want to be the master, the ruler, the controller. So we want to be perched on the earth. That represents us being rulers over our existence, right? All the symbols that's connected with Baphomet, again, represent equilibrium, totality. They'll say balance, but I like to say harmony. So the Baphomet symbol, when it's present in your work, on your altar, or when you're wearing it, you should be admitting what that symbol represents. That should be what one of your goals is on this path, right? That's what the Baphomet symbol represents to me. That's why I have the Baphomet symbol on my altar. That's why I connect with it in rituals, and that's why I wear it, because that's what it represents. Now, yes, will you get different interpretations on it? Yes. Some people literally think it's some demonic, satanic figure. You know, I love the conspiracy theorists that, yeah, you know, the Knights Templar used to worship Baphomet, the devil, this and that, because they read that in a book. And I've always challenged that notion. If you're not a Knights of Templar and you ain't got any concrete proof other than conspiracy theorist books and lectures and YouTube videos, you don't really know that. Trust me. But I know a real occultist, and anybody that's on this path doesn't look at Baphomet as an actual deity. So if that's what you think, then you have no clue what you're talking about. All right, so Xeper has come into the realization of who and what you really are. Now, you'll see it synonymous, as I said before. It's sometimes you'll see it spelled Kheper. You'll see that in a lot of left-hand path books from different authors. You might even see it spelled Z-EPHER in other vampiric writings. I know in some of Father Sebastian's writings, it's written like that. It's all the same thing, okay? it symbolizes the same thing, whether you're utilizing the concept of Xeper in vampirism, Luciferianism. I've seen it in all of these writings. Whether you're using it in its origin of Heker, Egyptian black magic, in essence, it signifies the same thing. Now, it does have a connection to the deity Khepera in ancient Egypt, spelled Khepera. You might have seen this symbol with the scarab beetle, and you'll see the wings, and it represents an aspect of the sun, right? Now, when you go to I believe I talked about this maybe in some videos in the past. I might have touched. Now, I didn't do a specific video on it, but I have remembered or have recalled in past videos discussing this. Now, some of it is encoded and hidden in what we know as the triad of Re or Ra. Some say Ra, some say Re. Right? We know we have Atun, and Amun. Right? Atun represents the hidden one. Atun is the unique one. And Amun is the hidden, Atun is the unique one. And then you have the aspect of Atum Re, but there's one that they don't talk about, which is Aknun Re, A-N-U-N, or Re or Ra at the end of it. You can research this, and you will find that's the aspect when the sun either. We know it doesn't physically set, so we don't need to get all scientifically technical. I'm saying symbolically. We know that Earth rotates on this axis, and if we're on the East Coast here, we're in the shadow or dark evening hours. We know the sun's just on the other side of the planet. The sun doesn't go anywhere. We know that. So let me establish that. I don't want to get no emails. Oh, but you made him. No. I'm saying symbolically. When they claim the sun sets, if anybody's watched a so-called sunset, whether it's a sunset or a sunrise, there's a split moment where the sun isn't there, whether it's rising or disappearing. It either appears or it disappears. We did a ritual on this that I actually posted about a year or so ago. There's that moment where the naked eye doesn't capture it. You don't see it. That's the aspect of what Akhnun Re represents, right? It also ties into remanifestation, a transition from one state to another. Khepri, the sun god, was connected to that remanifestation or that state of existence. So there's not a coincidence that phonetically the word is lined up with the deity Khepera, right? Not a coincidence. Now, why is the scarab beetle connected in there? Now, the scarab beetle, as we know, is one of the most unique insects or creatures in the insectual kingdom or the insect kingdom. It can reproduce on its own. The scarab beetle rolls its own dung. So it can remanifest or recreate on its own. And that's why you will see Khepera synonymous with the scarab beetle. And I've always told one of the symbols I have on my altar is a scarab beetle, and I place it at the foot of Set, because what it does is it communicates the symbol of that. I have the pentagram, I have the scarab beetle at the foot of Set, and then I have Set the adversary. When I look at that in sequence, it activates that energy or what that knowledge represents automatically. That's the first thing. And I kind of position it like the pyramids are built. Everything has a structural and a significance. It's lined up perfectly in sequence. When I'm sitting in my chamber, it goes in a straight line. There's a reason for that. Because what it does is activate certain portions of my psyche, right? So there's that symbolism and connection, and that's why you will see the scarab beetle tied into what Khepera signifies or represents. So all of these things we need to understand the symbolicism. It's important because it speaks volumes to our subconscious mind. Now the black flame, all right, let's go through that for a little bit. So we talked a little bit about Xeper, right? I want to talk about the black flame and the isolated consciousness. Now, a lot of the things that I'm talking about are the gifts. I like to refer to the gifts of the black flame. The black flame represents everything that's embedded in the universes, the multiverses. It's all the consciousness that permeates, what we call the universes and multiverses. It's everything we have the ability to tap into in our subjective that has no limitations. The black flame is something that's always present on the altar to represent that. Whether it's a black candle, whether you have a sternum lit, the black flame is always lit first because nothing manifests without the concept or the existence of the black flame. And in this case, the black flame of Set. So when you sometimes look at a black magic altar, and that's why if you see on mine, I'll have it elevated on a skull. I want to make sure, because what that does also speak to me subconsciously. On my altar, that's the highest candle. It stands out from the other candles, the biggest candle. Again, there's all connections with that, and it's in the center. And anytime we do a ritualistic working, whether you've seen it in a group working we've done here, and you should be doing this in your individual private workings, the black flame should always be lit first, and then the bell. I like to use not a traditional bell. You can use that. I like to use a Tibetan bowl. It has a different vibration and sound. You should light the black flame, toll the bell 9 times, because 9 represents opening, the gates. Whether you're working with the Klapothic tree, the gates of the void and darkness, the abyss, the gates of hell, whatever you want to call it. That's up to you depending on the work you're doing. And you should always do some invocation with the adversary, be it Set, be it Lucifer, whatever. Because we know that's the facilitator who governs and controls working with those realms, right? And once the gates are open, then you can proceed with your work. Now, you can create whatever method you want to do that. There is no right or wrong way. That's something you as the adept, the god, the goddess, the magician or the sorcerer should figure out how it works for you or resonates with you. So the black flame also, for an example, if we let me simplify this. A lot of us came through systems of comedic consciousness or conscious groups. When you hear about neuromelanin or melanin, like Dr. Sebi would talk about the carbon and how it connected to the melanin, and the melanin was the life or the source, is, let me correct myself, that connects to all states of consciousness. That is another way of saying the black flame. So the conscious people in the Hotep is really acknowledge the black flame, but on a more simplistic or mundane level, right? Dr. Edward Bruce Bynum, I would suggest he gives another aspect we can look at and put in perspective as the black flame in his book, Dark Light Consciousness, right? He goes into what dark light consciousness is. And in essence, it has its connection to the black flame. He talks about the neuromelanin being the pathway or the roadways or the highway or the highways that facilitate this information. We know neuro and neuromelanin, the importance of it. We know melanin is encoded, every organ of our body is encoded in melanin. We also know people that have more melanin, Blacks, Latinos, Asians, are affected differently on a spiritual level. The reason why synthetics can damage your melanin, and that's not talked about. That's something I learned years ago from Dr. Jewel Pookrum. She's done videos on that, talking about when we're intaking bad food. Synthetic medicines are now I want to make this clear before I say this. I'm not saying if you're on medicine not to take it, because some people go to the extreme. In what I've learned in my years of practice over the years, okay, take medicine to get yourself to a point where you can restore yourself naturally. So I want to make that clear. I don't want what I'm saying to be misinterpreted, because I'm not a doctor. I am not telling people what and what not to do. So if you are sick or ill and you need medication, by all means take it. I want to make that clear. Because I don't want nobody to go around saying, hey, I heard Beniti saying in a video. No. I'm not a doctor. What I am saying is we do need to be conscious. Antibiotics can damage your melanin. Anything synthetic is damaging to a person who's part of the melanated family, Black, Latino, Asian, and all the other subgroups that are connected to it. That's why a lot of those medications don't work for us. It tends to work on Europeans more because they have less of it in their body. And we're not just talking about, again, the pigmented melanin. We're talking also about the neuromelanin, all right? So This is important for us to understand why it's important to take care of yourself, okay? Now, again, it doesn't mean that those medications aren't needed, because they should, again, in my opinion, they should be utilized to restore yourself back to a state where you can maintain the maintenance from that point. But what we determine as this melanin through these conscious systems that we've studied over the years, that would be symbolic or a representation of the black flame, okay? This is important because it's the connection has always been there. We have always been tapping into it on a more mundane level, but now on the path of the occult, the left-hand path in black magic, it takes on a higher significance. Everything emits from the black flame. We do ritualistic work to tap into, as I like to call it, or you'll see it called in some circles, the gift of Set. What is the gift of Set? The black flame, right? He is the, he is the one via transformation and change, remanifestation, Xeper, as some pronounce, is obtained through the adversary, Set. One way is the process, how he teaches, through what he symbolizes is how we can make order out of our chaos, right? I was talking again, let me go back to that a minute. I kind of wanted to add a little further on that, that I left out. He represents making order out of that chaos. The story of Ra going through the underworld. As I said, we make the mistake like Ra did in the early stages of our spirituality. We think we can destroy something, eliminate what we know as the devil or negativity or chaos. A real magician knows energy cannot be destroyed. It can just be manipulated. It can be remanifested. It can be resurrected in a different form via deconstruction and reconstruction. Energy can never be destroyed. So we recognize that. And that's why one thing you must study and educate yourself as an adept is mastering and working with these energies. That's number one, right? So we recognize that fact right out the gate. Set and what he represents through his systems of transformation and change, he steps in the story and he says to his father, I'm going to try to modernize it for you. He says, this is what you spend your evenings doing every night. You're wasting your time, right? We saw when we read in the story how Ross struggles to keep a pep at bay. That's us. And as I said before, the spirit or the energy of a pep always comes to you in the late night hours. When? We all have periods throughout our life, off and on, where we just wake up in the middle of the night, or it's hard for us to get to sleep late at night because we might be stressing over things. Pep starts to come in the form of worrying over bills. How am I going to pay this bill? How am I going to get this done Friday? How am I going to fix that? This is all fucked up. All these problems start to just manifest in your mind. And it's like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And you're struggling, trying to clear your mind, and then you can't get back to sleep. That's the spirit of a pep. A pep comes in the late night hours, right? As we see, Set steps in and says, oh, see, look, you got it all fucked up. You got it all wrong. Tries to tell his father, Ra, you don't know what you're doing. You're trying to kill or destroy something that cannot be killed or destroyed. That's your first mistake. Okay? That's the first mistake. Okay, he says, this is what you got to do. He made order out of the chaos as opposed to trying to destroy and eliminate, knowing even after he made order out of it, it would remanifest itself again. Now, what's the significance in that in the serpent and the snake? We know a snake sheds its skin, and even after it sheds its skin, it resurrects or grows new skin, which says to the adept, chaos is always going to manifest. But the difference is, now the magician or the adept has the knowledge and the wisdom and the power to control. Now you're manipulating the energy of chaos. You're controlling the energy of chaos. You're putting it into personal order that makes sense for yourself. Is that going to make sense to everybody else? Absolutely not. Excuse me. Dry mouth. So now we got the formula via the adversary of Set. Okay. So this is how we make order out of our personal chaos. And Ra was schooled on it, right? Look, I've said this before. I don't care if you're a conscious Kemetic Hoteper. I know we like to big up Ra and Heru. Set is always, ostracized and made to look demonic and evil from a religious perspective. As I said before, Set is the only unique deity that's different from any other deity in ancient Egypt. Everything that he represents via, which I'm going to talk about next in a minute, the isolated consciousness is what makes him different. Okay? And again, if you do your research from the 22nd dynasty back, he played a more higher and was the most prominent deity in ancient Egypt until the Osirian cults took over and changed that. Because then the writings and the things that were put into place, it was intentionally done to demonize Set from a religious perspective, right? Remember, Set had that prominent role guiding the soul to the underworld before that was assigned to Usil or Osiris. Now, remember, at the seventh gate through the journey of the underworld, you encounter Set Heru. And now you see that figure in Egypt as the one body with the head of Set and the head of Heru. That's symbolic to the magician or the adept. We have both of those polarities or energies running through us simultaneously. And the objective or the goal for the magician or the adept via the gift of or the black flame is to harmonize both of those energies. You do need that Heru or Horus energy, and you need that Set energy, but in the right formula, not in a way how it's taught on the surface from right-hand path philosophies where everything is just fluffy and everything is peace and love and hold hands and kumbaya and we all going to get along, we're all going to unite. Sounds great, but it's not a reality. And it's not all about being dark and gloomy. As I mentioned before, there are people on this path, everything is dreary, dark, and gloomy. Now, that is always going to be the foundation. There is going to be more of that. But we need that aspect too in a certain formula, a harmonious formula that's going to work for us. And when I say us, each individual. And that's going to vary. What's the matter? Yeah. What's the matter? Why are you walking like that? Want a pen? All right, I'll be in there in a little bit. All right. So that's done in a certain way that's dictated and put into practice by the adept, the magician, the god, or the goddess. All right. So the isolated consciousness. One of the last things I just briefly want to go through. Then I'll go through some questions and comments in a bit. So put your questions and comments in there. I'm going to go to the chat in about 5 to 10 minutes. The isolated consciousness. Let's talk a little bit about that, right? Now, I want to be clear when I say and explain this. We as adepts or magicians, we're not trying to become one with the universe. We hear that term all the time. Let me say that again, just so we're clear on this. Your goal as an adept or a magician is not to become one with the universe, okay? That's taught on a lot of right-hand path, fluffy systems, all right? The reason why, what the isolated consciousness represents is separating from all of those things that represent conformity. That's one of them, okay? Now, we know all things are connected, but yet separate. Let me say that. All things are connected, but yet they still should retain their individuality. That applies to us too. That's what makes things unique. We as magicians or adepts are trying to tap into the isolated consciousness because we don't want to be connected with any aspect of conformity on any level. We're not trying to go with the norm or what society dictates is acceptable, a belief system, a religion, a philosophy, or a dogma. We stay away from all of that stuff. That's totally opposite to what the isolated consciousness represents. Isolated or isolation. To be isolated or isolation, what does that mean? To be separate, right? You will find this is a lonely path. You hear me say this all the time. That's why I was saying earlier, it's good to connect. And when we did the work in New York over the weekend up in the Bronx, that's why the comment that Brother Angel me was that's part of the isolated consciousness. Like the journey of us traveling, socializing, and connecting the way we did on Saturday, we were separating ourselves from mainstream, from or what mainstream conformity, because we found a concept to connect with, right? Which is anti all those things I explained. That's part of the isolated consciousness. There's a collective aspect to it, but it can be a lonely path in the sense where when you start to experience that separation on all levels, spiritually, mentally, and emotionally, it puts you through some serious changes. You disconnect. You start to naturally gravitate away from certain person, places, or things and gravitate towards different things. You only come to that realization or understanding via the isolated consciousness. Okay? So we need to understand this, right? Because I've mentioned this before in past videos. You don't know how many times I get emails from people that'll email me that just come on the path, and when they get several months in, they always will say to, yeah, this is a lonely path. I'm going through some serious changes. I'm going through some changes in my social circles, my friends, people I deal with, things I used to like doing, I don't like doing no more. Those are all natural signs of you tapping into the isolated consciousness. But what happens after you go through those transformation and changes, newer and greater and bigger things start to manifest in your life. That's the beauty of it, okay? That's the beauty of it. So that's part of the change. All of that is connected through the deity set. And that's why I said in the beginning of the video, Xeper, the black flame, okay, the isolated consciousness, the gift of Set, all of that is connected, but yet they work in conjunction with each other. They are not the same, as you've just seen. I made that clear. Sometimes it can get a little confusing. Remanifestation or remanifest is part of that process too. It can get a little confusing because it appears or sounds sometimes if they're the same. Yes, because they're similar only because they're connected and they work in conjunction with each other, all right? We must understand in some shape, form, or fashion, this should be your goal on this path, to transform and change. The next question is transform and change from what? From what you currently are into what you're destined to be, okay? That, I can't put it in any other simplistic term. And why Set is utilized for that? Because that's what he represents. Pretty much any form of the adversary does, whether you're calling it Set, Lucifer, Shaitan, Khanas, Sama, whatever you want to call it, whatever aspect you want to call it, Iblis, Malik Taus, the peacock, whatever you want to call it, it's always going to represent illumination and change. But one thing that's unique with the adversary, be it Set, Lucifer, etc., it's the only adversary. And we did this in the working in the cemetery, because after we entered, we invoked the gateway deity on Saturday, which was Legbar, and we entered. Before we started, we did a whole ritual with Lucifer. Why? Well, here's why. Why we try to connect with the Lucifer energy, the Set energy, the adversarial energy. It is the only one that embodies light and darkness simultaneously. And I remember asking the people on Saturday, why Lucifer? We did a mantra activating the eye of Lucifer right there in the cemetery. And to me, there's nothing more powerful to be around that energy. Now, again, we did it in steps where it's right. I always said respect the spirits, not fear. Sometimes people hear that and they correlate that to fear the spirits. That's religion. No. Have respect. Because when you're disrespecting the spirits of the dead, you're disrespecting yourself, you're disrespecting your ancestors. And don't get it twisted. That energy can run amok within you if you approach it carelessly. Now, something I didn't fucking share. Having crazy experiences the following 2 nights after that. The very next night, I saw the gravestones, and I kept seeing the people from them gravestones. And I don't like to talk about a lot of subjective shit, so I'm going to share this quickly. People just coming. I seen the actual people and what they look like coming from them gravestones. I heard presence, foots walking across the floor, creaking clearly. The second night, there was a door in front of the room that I was in, and the door looked liquidy, and I saw the doorknob turn and the door start to open. Nothing ever fully came through. That same night, I remember locking the door. Woke up in the morning, the door was unlocked, clearly unlocked. Clearly remember locking it. Didn't have to struggle and go, did I? Did I not? I say that to say all that. These are methods the way the spirit communicates with you sometimes. So the 2 days after that ritual, the spirits were letting me know they acknowledged what we did Saturday night. And I'm sure I haven't even really followed up with the other 11 people that were at the ritual, the other 10, counting myself, 11, what experiences they have had since Saturday or have not had yet, which probably can still have, all right? The thing is, that's the way the spirit communicates and lets you know and makes you aware. So all that was nothing threatening. That was nothing, to fear, nothing to try to, again, to destroy. That's religious because I was hoping the door would open to see what would come out, but nothing came out. I was just trying to go with the flow. But when the door would crack, it was just pure darkness. Because the door would get liquidy like a vortex, and then I would see the knob turn counterclockwise, and then it would slowly. And mind you, I'm seeing this not sleeping. I'm seeing this sitting up with my head prop and looking at the door, awake. I want to make that clear. I was awoke. That wasn't in a dream state. The other stuff was when I was asleep in a dream state. That shit was when I was awake. So I want to make that real clear. But long story short, without going too much into that, it's just these are confirmations that we need to be conscious and aware of how the spirit communicates with us, how it makes us aware of its presence, how it makes us aware that it is there. So, and it was clearly those spirits from the cemetery. That I'm 100% certain of because I saw the same gravestones when they were coming up from the grave. And it was just an assurance to let them know. We left stuff there for them. I know we left some water, some flowers, some cigars. So again, that was just their way of communicating, letting them know, letting us know, and the acknowledgement. So yeah, it's just crazy shit. But anyway, that's kind of what I got on that. I'm gonna go through the chat now, take your questions, your comments. Again, I want to give everybody a thanks that came out to the ritual Saturday, all those that helped. Again, Sister Alicia, who brought her witch bag, you'll see the clip. Sister Rosa, Janice, Raven, Mama Muerte, Dave, Sister Patra, who I know some of these people are in the room right now. Brother Angel, shout out to Brother Angel for locking down the spot in the Bronx. Gotta give him mad love and mad props. It was good to meet him. Reminds me of my uncle. Great vibe. Truly an elder in wisdom. Not just because we were talking about that Saturday. Because you're old in age, male or female, that doesn't make you an elder. I say an elder to me is somebody who is wise in wisdom, has a lot of wisdom. So shout out to Brother Angel, Brother Fashan, young brother. He was probably the baby of the group. I think he was the youngest cat there, if I'm not mistaken. We had fun cracking jokes. My girlfriend is German, son. He'll know what that means. But and again, the experiences of the travel. Again, it reminded me of the Warriors when they had to get from the Bronx to Coney Island. I felt like we were on that warrior mission. We was getting to where we was getting one way or the other. But yeah, shout out to Brother Fashad. We had some fun. Brother Dave, Mandy. Let me tell you a story about Mandy real quick. You guys can get a kick out of this. I forgot. Don't think I forgot Mandy. I don't know if you're still here. So, funny fucking story. We're leaving the Bronx. We're leaving the Bronx. We're getting back on the 6 train. And all of a sudden we smell shit, like pure dog shit, horse shit, whatever. So like, damn, somebody must step into some shit. Now, I realized at one point in the cemetery, I smelt it there. I said, damn, either something shit in here or whatever. I remember towards the end of the ritual, I realized afterwards that I was bowed down near Mandy. Well, anyway, Mandy stepped in shit really bad. It was all on the bottom of her Tim's, like this. It was all up in there. So we were cracking on her ass that whole train ride back. When we got to Manhattan, there was as we were walking to the TikTok diner, there was a guy outside hosing down something, and he was able to clean it. And then when she got to the diner, she got it out. But even after she got it out, it was gone. All of a sudden, that fucking smell came back. It was funny as shit because it was like it was embedded there. Literally funny as shit. No pun intended. But it was that type of crazy shit that went on. Like I said, it was a lot of fun. And for those in the New York area, if you weren't there, or you might stumble across this video, we are planning another event, indoor working, full blown. We are planning on doing that in a couple of months. I know already things are being looked into. I know Angel's looking into something. I know Mama Muerte's got some options available. And this is going to be a full-blown indoor working, altar, working tools, black robes. I'm hoping to incorporate some drumming into this just for that experience. Now that we built, again, and I will, for those that were there, those in the New York area that are on that list, I'm gonna organize some private online sessions for us. What I mean by that is I'm going to send you a link. I have a platform that I use that I utilize for my private classes, and we're all going to get together. We're going to try to touch base and have discussions, and so we can talk about planning future events. I want to look at doing one. I'm going to send you guys an email in the next day or two to set up what's a good day for us to all get online in a private session, talk and build and discuss. I want to get your ideas. Maybe you guys have some ideas. I got a ton of them, and see what you would like to come up with, and give everybody a chance to present something. So those that are on that list, you know who you are. I'm gonna send you an email. We're gonna set something up, and we're gonna get it popping. So I'm gonna start trying to do stuff in New York a couple of times a year, 2-3 times a year, if possible more, if schedule permits it, but at least 2 times a year. I want to at least do something a minimum of 2 times a year. And if there's some other times in between that present itself, I mean, there's some more other outdoor workings we can do too, that I already have, that are a possibility. But I also want people to experience that full-blown traditional black magic ritual. And I say traditional with all the bells and whistles, the tools, the daggers, the pentagrams, the skulls, the candles, the incense, the whole nine. I think it's important for each adept and magician to experience all that. All right. So I'm going to go to the top. I know there's probably a lot of comments and questions. But again, shout out to everybody that came through on Saturday evening. I was able to catch a Yankee game on Friday night. Actually, Sister Patra, she came out and met us right over there by the stadium on Friday. Had a chance for Alicia to come out by me in Queens on Thursday. Keisha came out to see me in Queens on Saturday. So it was good actually meeting with people. And again, it's a great blessing being that's where I'm born and raised from. That's my hometown. It's great being able to connect with people there. And I'm glad to see I got a lot of people on the channel that are from NYC. So shout out to home base, as they say. All right. So again, if I didn't greet you, peace and greetings to everybody. I'm gonna take some questions. Gonna stay on to about 10. As I said, it was a long trip back. I basically ain't been doing shit today, but laying around, spending some time with my little man. I haven't seen him in a week, so I was excited to get back and see him. All right. Let me see questions. Again, brother, I see Brother Angel has been in the room. I'm not sure if he's still here. Yeah, and let me echo his sentiments. Special shout out to the New York City meet and greet crew from August 2019. Peace all. We're gonna come up with a name. So again, I'm gonna send out an email. We're gonna create a little group. I like Angels creating that family vibe. I like that tight knit type of family unity vibe. So we're gonna come up with a crew name, is what I'm saying. I want to get you guys input on it. Let's come up with a crew name. And I do want to get with you guys on a regular basis in a private video session where we could all talk. So I'm gonna set that up. I'm gonna see what I'm gonna get with you guys in the email about what schedules. Obviously, I know everybody has different work schedules, personal lives. So I want to see what nights or days are good for us to maybe once a month have a video session. We can make it kind of like a little class discussion thing. So we stay in contact and we can talk and continuously talk about doing ritualistic workings in the future in New York. Nikita, fueling your bus right now. Okay, well, you're tuning in. Not sure if you're still there. I know that was earlier. All right, what else we got? All right, again, peace and greetings to everybody. Peace to Amanda. Amanda, I got to get back. I know you had another email. I know we dialogued a little bit on the email you sent me. Due to the hectic day I had yesterday, I've not checked emails in the last 2 days. So if anybody has sent me an email in the last day or two, I may not have gotten back to you. I will get back to all my emails starting tomorrow, okay? Yeah, it'd be like the Warriors movie. I was liking if you came on late. That's always been a classic movie of mine. The Warriors came out in 1979. For those that, if you're my age, you don't necessarily have to be my age. It's a classic, one of the classics. It's about the street gang, the Warriors, and you know how they were up in the Bronx for a unification gang meeting, and they get set up by Warrior, you know, dude, the bus come out and play. Stop. Cyrus, who's the gang member that's organizing the meeting, gets shot. It gets pinned on the Warriors, and they're trying to escape the Bronx and get back to Coney Island, where the Warriors gang is from, right? Well, our journey was reversed. We were going to the Bronx, but it was just, I was liking it to the experiences. Like they as a unit had to work together and they went through their shit, etc. It just had that vibe because of the train rides. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, maybe we can incorporate some type of crew name with that, since that keeps resonating me. We're gonna come up with something. But we're gonna have a whole, I'm telling you, and I already know it's gonna grow. You see, I'm gonna tell you here today. The foundational people were there. There's gonna be more coming, trust me. We're gonna have a nice little crew. But I can tell you, I know that the group that showed up Saturday, that's gonna be the foundation. I already know. All right. Oh shit! So Be Like Water watched it recently. I haven't watched it. It's probably been 2 years or so since the last time I watched it. I got it. I gotta watch it again. That's it. What else we got? Yeah, that's Mama Muerte's new nickname, Shitty McVitie, since she stepped in shit. Yeah, and let me echo Potter's comment from earlier. Angel put us on to an effective, secluded location. Much gratitude for not being selfish, no doubt. Angel came through like a trooper last minute. Again, as I said earlier, the ritual wasn't planned, wasn't written out, nothing was rehearsed. We just flowed with it. We met in Midtown. We sat around. We gathered. I know Woke Media was trying to get out there. He was running. I'm not sure if it's here or shit. So Woke Media, I know, was trying to get out there, but got caught up in Brooklyn. We had to go. So hopefully Woke Media can make the next one. You know, we gathered there in Midtown and things just came together naturally. And as I said earlier, Sister Alicia bring a whole witch bag that you'll see in it. I posted 2 video clips, 2 short clips. One's about 3, just under 4 minutes. The other one's about 2 minutes, showing you it's actual right there at the cemetery. And again, I wanted to do those clips, and like I do other post clips of other rituals, to show we do consistent work here. Okay. Not because we want to pat on the back, oh, they're so spiritual. No, I want to show people this shit is about work. This is not, oh, as I said in the video, we're not armchair magicians. We don't just sit in chairs and read books and give ourselves acclamations and titles. I'm, Ankara, this or that, No. We're actually practicing magicians. We're constantly perfecting our craft. We're constantly doing work to better ourselves. That's why I post those little short clips of the videos. So you can see, look, these motherfuckers are doing work. We do work. And that's in addition to what everybody does privately. And I know most of the people that I deal with, whether it's here in Florida and people in New York, they do work on some level. Because nobody comes out if their intent isn't to do work. If you're going to be affiliated with me in any shape, form, or fashion, you're going to find out. You're going to be like, damn, Beniti works. I'm not this shit constant. This is constant perfecting your craft. I don't rest with this shit. There's no such thing. I don't know no other way but to go 150% with this. All right? So, yeah. Yeah, and that's true. Let me comment from Mama Muerte from earlier. We walked for legit like it was 10 hours, dripping sweat. Yeah, it was hot, but it was mad love. It was all good, man. It worked out. It was an extremely hot night, no doubt. Uh, who go figure? I leave Florida and go into the midst of a fucking heat wave. That's why I like to go to New York at least one time in the winter. But the beauty of it is, it's good to always go home, connect with the energy and the vibe, get the food, whatever. But at least I know I don't have to stay in that madness. But I do miss it. And if I don't at least go a couple times a year, I don't feel right. It's what keeps my harmony right, being here in Florida, which I love. I love Florida too. It's got its great points. The summers can be extremely abusively hot. I'm not a fan of June, July, and August here. It's extremely hot. The winters are beautiful. For anybody that has lived here, I know I discussed that with Patra. She spent a short period here a few years back, so she can relate. Has its up points, has its down. That's anything in life. Some have, its ups and its downs. Yeah, let me read Brother Angel's comment. My pleasure, folks. The universe made a way without our planning, but without participation. See, that's the type of shit I'm talking about. Angel be coming up with the fly slogans, man. That's that. I mean, what else can you say? That's it. Okay. Now, the universe acknowledges it not by that made a way not by our planning, but our participation, which ties into intent. Everybody's intent was in the right spot. Like I said, I had no idea Alicia was bringing that bag and all that stuff in it. And as I said in the video on the way down, I was having a discussion with Raven, and I'm saying, man, I wish we had this. It'd be nice if we had this for Rich. Then I said, you know what? Look, whatever happens, happens. And I learned to do that in my spiritual practices. Just let be, and usually what manifests is a good finished product. So that's another statement right on point. What else we got? Yeah, another comment to Mama Muerte about the spider web. Arachne, the spider goddess, was all over that cemetery. And as she said, we were standing still, and spider webs were just falling. And that's the first thing. And I'm sitting in my mind, and I'm getting ready this week to start some detailed work with her. I remember I was the first one going in, and we were walking in, and I was in the front. As we were walking to find a spot in the cemetery where we could do our work on Saturday night, it seemed like every couple of feet spider webs kept falling on my arms. I felt them on the back of my neck, some fall on my head. I was like, what the fuck? I knew what it was right away, but I'm like, there's no trees around. We weren't walking under trees or nothing. I said, shit. That was the way of the spider goddess letting her know, I'm here. And again, as I was saying with other methods I was talking about earlier, that's a way the spirits will communicate. They will let you know. All right. I know Diosa, that's Rosa. Good to see you here. Yeah, man. As I said earlier, I was joking around, man. I tell you what, the New York City crew is some Florida water carrying motherfuckers, boy. Yeah, it's like everybody pulled out some goddamn Florida water. Like that shit was Kool-Aid. I thought that was kind of funny. All right. Yeah, man. He's saying, like I say, the journey back here was rough. Uh, Let me just briefly. You're gonna probably get a kick out of this shit. Delta Airlines sucks ass. Let me go on record saying that. I hope somebody from Delta sees this. And I'm about to call their ass tomorrow when I'm back energized and get my goddamn money back. And trust me, I'm gonna get my money back, refunded in full. You heard that shit right here. Going was no problem. We flew in Wednesday, no problem. Smooth flight boarded early. And I said to myself, I'm gonna pay for this shit on the way back. I wasn't, hey, look, I just was feeling the energy. I already fucking knew. You might call that bitch, some people on the outside would call that negative. I said, nah, son, it ain't gonna be this smooth going back. I already know. I didn't know it was gonna be like it was, straight up. Anyway, so Wednesday, perfect. Flying early Wednesday, get to the spot, everything cool. As getting ready to leave Monday. Flight was at 7:45. Delta, fucking Delta. Now, mind you, my cousins worked for Delta since high school. So I know certain things about Delta that certain people don't know. And I know when they bullshit and lie to people. Anyway, Monday flight 7:45, I get a notice on my phone around 3 o'clock, flight delayed. They moved it up like an hour. 35, 40 minutes later, another delay. They kept moving it up about 3 or 4 times. Then around 6:30, well, might even been earlier than that, they canceled the flight altogether, saying because of weather on the coast. Now, I know when Delta flights get delayed, Atlanta is their biggest transition hub. That's their home base. They have their most planes in Atlanta. When their flights get canceled, they try to route everybody through to Atlanta and get them to their destination. So when this flight gets canceled, these motherfuckers got flights. They trying to book people going from JFK in New York to fucking Tampa, from Tampa to Atlanta, Atlanta to Fort Lauderdale. They had other routes to DC, all these other. They wanted you to basically stop at 3 airports to get back. I said, man, fuck that. So I go online and check LaGuardia, right? So LaGuardia had two direct flights still available going out. One early in the morning. Let me show you how this. But see, this is all part of the experience when I'm looking at it. This is the trials, the tribulations. We worked with Legba at the cemetery, right? Legba can be sort of a trickster sometimes, or put obstacles, because I said something with Legba, and I looked at it as, okay, Legba said, okay, well, we're going to see the mental fortitude. Anyway, that's another story for another day. So as I'm trying to book the 7 a.m. one, right when I go to finalize and click it, it disappears. Turns out at the same time I'm trying to book the motherfucker, the shit got sold out. Like simultaneously as I'm hitting the click button. I must have missed it by a split second to complete it. I said, God damn, the flight's fucking gone. So then I see another one leaving out of LaGuardia, which was yesterday, at 3:30 in the afternoon. I'll say, cool, all right, I'm gonna hit this one. I hit it, book it, no problem. All right, so yesterday comes, the next day, Monday going into Tuesday. Get up, everything so far so good. Then around 12, 1 o'clock, get a notification. Flight delayed. They delayed it one time from 3:30 to 5:14 or something like that, 5:20, whatever. All right, cool. Get an Uber, get to the airport about 1:45, 12:30, 1:45, because I had to be out. Just, with all the crazy shit going on, whatever. Said, no big deal, we'll get there a little early. Check in the whole 9. They board the flight, and I had said it too, and I shouldn't have. I said, hey, look, man, hopefully we don't get stuck on the runway or some shit. And I must have said it 2 or 3 times. Get on the flight starts to taxi away from the gate. We get stuck on the runway for damn near almost 3 hours. There's 30 planes in front of us, they say. But don't worry, we're going to be taking off in 20 minutes. Bullshit. I already know what's good. Then I called this one. I said, they're going to have to go back to the gate to refuel. Lo and behold, come over to intercom. Due to the DOT mandatory, we can't have you out here this long. Plus, we got to refuel the plane. I knew they had to refuel the plane. Delta is the masters of lying and bullshitting people. So now the plane taxis from the runway, probably about 5:30, a little bit after, was still on the runway, 8:15-ish, almost on there for about 2 hours and 40 something minutes. They taxied back because they had to get us off before the 3-hour limit. They get us right back. We get back to the fucking gate about 8:35, 8:40. Now they're talking about they gotta take the garbage out of the plane, refuel it, put more water and supplies on. Then they telling us one of the bathrooms ain't working. Then they telling us they shut down one of the runways because some VIP went through. And they telling us it's weather. And I know this is all lies because there's no weather. And I know they canceled 38 flights the day before. And now they just scrambling to get everybody where they got to go. They're trying to fix this shit from the day before. So they just straight lying to us and bullshitting us. So now we back at the runway. People, they let us get off the plane and kind of walk around by the gate and on the side of the plane. So I'm getting up stretched. And I said, they're about to come. Now we're not sure if they're going to let us go back out, if we're going to even be able to take off because the runway's so backed up. Now, mind you, they're telling us that, and planes is taking off left and right from the other gates. I'm like, what the fuck? So then they say, yeah, we're going to be taking off. Long story short, we get back on the plane. It departs, probably gets back on the runway 10. We taxi away. We probably had to wait, got stuck on the runway again, not too long, maybe about 20 or 30 minutes more sitting on the runway. Took off. Long story short, I ain't landing in Florida for just after 1 a.m. in the morning. Took me 12 plus hours to get the fuck home. That's just how shit goes sometimes. So, yeah, that was my day yesterday. But now you know why I didn't do shit today. That was my day yesterday. So, fun times. Just thought I'd share that with everybody. Yes, comment by Amanda. When I work with Azazel, I can do it anyway. Yeah, you can do magic anyway, because I had some other rituals planned Saturday. If we had to do something in the middle of the open, remember, magic can be worked anywhere, any place, anytime. It can be done privately and very discreet. It can be done like we did in the cemetery. It can be done in a public place with tons of people around. Again, it just depends on the type of working you're doing. I like to call rituals workings because that's what they are. They're work. All right. Rituals sometimes can come off religious, or I might call it a working ritual or a ritualistic working. I like to include the word work in that statement because it is work. It's spiritual work. All right. Sia, I'm going to call her the witch bag woman. It was a powerful, magical night. It was a great time. And everybody, you could just feel the love and the power from Alicia. Everybody gave her sincere hugs. Rosa too. Rosa's got a familiar, like that face, like you know her from somewhere for a while. But shout out, most definite. It was that was powerful. Yeah, be like water. If that's your hometown, Detroit, you got to understand, when you're born and raised somewhere, or you spent majority of your life there, that becomes a part of you. You know what it reminds me of? There's a scene in the 2006 movie Rocky Balboa with Sylvester Stallone, and it's the scene where Paulie and Rocky, in a very early portion of the movie, and they're standing outside of. If you're familiar with the Rocky trilogy, it's one of my favorite trilogies. That was one of my favorite actors growing up. Still is my favorite. If you're familiar with that trilogy, he's standing in front of the pet shop where Adrian used to work, and they're standing right below the subway train. And he makes a statement in there that's really powerful. And he's looking around at the subway. He's looking around at the neighborhood. He goes, you know what? If you stay in a place for so long, you become that place. That place becomes a part of you. When you're born and raised somewhere, it don't matter where you go later in life. That's always going to be a part. And no matter how long I'll be away from New York, I still got the majority of my family there. My sisters, my cousins, my uncles, my aunties, friends that I grew up with. It's always going to be a part of you. It doesn't matter. That's not, you can't take that away. It's when you grow up in and I know this, and I'm sure people that are from down south, and you're raised a certain way, and it literally becomes a part of you. It shapes who you are to some extent. It doesn't define who you are, but it does shape you to an extent. No matter how much crazy shit you hear about New York, people talk negative shit. New York is New York. That shit will always be home to me, regardless of how long I don't live there. Um, so yeah, be like water. If you got them roots in Detroit, it's like you should go back to connect with your roots to rejuvenate you. Um, it's always a good thing. Always a good thing. Uh, Raven, I'm not sure if I missed. You typed in earlier. Tell him why. Type something down to remind me. Maybe I missed something. If you're still here, I know you had a rough. He was right along the line there. All right, what else we got? All right, what else we got? All right, Alicia, I know you probably most sure have some ideas. Again, for the New York City crew, I'll be reaching out to you on that group email. We're gonna set up a private video session with all of us, and we're gonna talk about that. Some things, ideas moving forward, and I want to get everybody's input. I want Alicia, Fashad, Patra, Janice, all of you guys, Angel. I want all you guys, Mama Muerte, Dave. I know Dave's probably gonna want to do a ritual with midget strippers, but I don't know if we can find some midget strippers with bullet wounds in their hips. We'll see if we can. So I want everybody's feedback. So we're gonna set that up. All right, Amanda's got possibly some space in Lakeland. Okay. I mean, Florida, we're good here. I got personal lot of space here. And I know you probably typed that in earlier. I didn't see it. But we've been doing ritual work here, I'm going to say, since fall of 2016. And we pretty much, for the most part, we do something at the last Friday of every month. We took a break the last couple of months because of a lot of things going on. Also, for people that are in the online session, that resumes Saturday. So don't forget, took a 2-week break because of the traveling, because I took a trip before I went to New York, and then I took the New York trip. The other trip was just a weekend trip, 3 days, but there's just a lot going on in the last 2 weeks. So if you are in the online session and you see this video, remember that class resumes this Saturday at 3 o'clock. We have 3 more sessions in that. I will also be doing some, you guys have requested the individual classes in addition to the full session. So I will be squeezing some of those in. I'm going to be putting one up shortly in the next day or two. I did the one on working with your personal daemon, which a lot of people signed up for that class, which is a good class. So I'm going to be putting more of those individual classes up too. All right. All right. What else we got? Okay, Mama Muerte, I know she has space. So we got some things popping. I know Angel's looking into an option. And again, reminder, Dr. Edward Bruce Bynum will be here tomorrow night, 8 o'clock. Do not forget. And a good comment by Necrocanna. NG can only be transmuted. It cannot be destroyed. It just changes its vibration to a different degree. And again, that's why I was saying earlier, go and read those 7 Hermetic Principles of Tahuti. It'll give you the basic fundamentals. I mean, there's much more, but I'm saying that's a good place to start and understanding working with energy, the subjective realm, etc. Great place to start. Duma, I know you typed in earlier about does that connect to the 9 angles? Not sure what that was in reference to, so maybe you could type something in to remind me. Can't remember what. I must have been saying something at the time. Peace. They, I know you're probably not here no more. If you do see this, let me know. I believe you're coming next Friday night. Just let me know. Oh, okay. So Duma typed in I was talking about as related to the pylons Ray went through. the 9 angles. Because there's 9 gates, you can look at it in that perspective, and here's why I say why. There are similarities, but they are different. They're different because the 9 angles probably goes in a little more intricately to what each angle represents. I think when you're talking about going through the 9 gates of the underworld, it does identify it to an extent, but I think what that more focuses on, it doesn't go as into depth like when you go through each gate. Now there's a deity that's at each gate. We know what that deity represents, and we know that connects to what the initiate or the adept is struggling with. The only thing the 9 angles specifically makes it clear. Now, remember the ritual of the 9 angles, or the origin of it that you see in the Satanic Bible, or the ritual. I'm sorry, the Satanic ritual companion to the Satanic Bible that Michael Aquino wrote. Maybe he was inspired by that. I don't know. I've never really looked into it. But whether you're aware of it or not, in LaVey's book, at that time, Michael Aquino, Anton LaVey's main man at the time, he was still a member of the Church of Satan. He wrote the ritual of the 9 angles that you see in that book, whether people are aware of it or not. Now, if he was inspired by that, could be. If we just look at it from a new perspective, I can see the connection there, most definitely. I can see the connection. Excuse me, people. Sorry. Yeah, the ritual, Raven typed in earlier. I was talking about the ritual of Ray that we did with Akhnun Ray. We did it at the moment of the sun, so-called setting. There's a video posted on that ritual, and I was talking about Xeper and remanifestation, and connecting it to the deity Xeper earlier. Yeah, only we was in a rush. We was actually right up by you in Brooklyn on Saturday. I had to make the daily Medina run. We was right up there on Atlantic and Fulton. We walked up to Gino's Pizza. We went up to Flatbush Avenue too, over there to Gino's. We didn't have much time. We was thinking about possibly hitting you up, but we had to jet. We were behind, and we had the event that night. So it was a quick swing out there. I know you texted me. I did try to call you, but your phone was bugging out Saturday night. I was in Manhattan. I was calling, and the shit just kept going to voicemail. So I don't know if you had it off or the battery was dead. I did see your text later. So hopefully you can link up at the next one. What else we got? Oh, that's pretty cool. Only found a scarab beetle brooch in an antique store. Yeah, them antique stores. I've said before, some of those thrift stores, antique stores, and especially those used bookstores, man, you can find some gems in there, man. Yeah, the subway thing. Yeah, I mean, I've been riding trains my whole fucking life, so especially East New York, J to M to Z, A, C, E, F train, and the R, the 4. Well, that's usually when I go to Yankee Stadium. The D. Um, like I say, I'm used to it. If you're not used to it, yeah, it's not the funnest thing. What else we got? All right. Okay, Blair. Those that are listening that thinking about coming to the event in October, just use the 33309 zip code. Look for Airbnbs in that area as far as cities, Pompano Beach, anywhere in North Fort Lauderdale is pretty much good. Cypress Creek area. It's safer just to put the 33309 area code. If anybody's looking in their neighborhoods and Airbnbs and you're not sure, search that area. If you find one, you can always send me the address and I can tell you if it's a good area. Most Airbnbs are in good areas. They're usually not in fucked up neighborhoods or fucked up areas because you can't really rent them out. I know there's been, over the last couple of years, we've had a few people. I know Lady Mystic, Sabrina, and a couple of other people have used them. They found some great deals. You might want to reach out to Lady Mystic. That's sometimes you'll see her in the room as T. Carter. She found a really nice one on the beach one time, or very close to the beach, if I'm not mistaken. But we know the area here. You could always send an email if you're unsure, if you find one. They tend to be cheaper than hotels. But if you're unsure of the neighborhood, just find one that you think is good for your price range and send us an email. We'll tell you if it's in a good area. But 33309, that's the area code you want to look. Yeah, PEP will come to you. Spirit of a PEP, like Oni typed in. When you were comatose, that mind will just start stressing and worrying about shit. That's when the spirit of PEP comes. Because remember, Ra battled the PEP from midnight to the so-called rising of the sun. You fight a PEP mentally, emotionally, and spiritually at the same hours, whether it's in your dreams, whether it's being conscious and awake and in your thoughts. And that's, why a PEP comes during the hours. But when you're a skilled magician and you have those things in order, a PEP can't really come on that level and bring that chaos to you mentally during those times. Blair, this area here is very diverse. A lot of people from the Caribbean. You'll see people here from Jamaica, Trinidad, Barbados. There's a large Haitian community here. A lot of people from Haiti. A lot of people from the Northeast, from all races and ethnicities, white, black. There's obviously a lot of Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, and Cubans here. But you're going to find everybody in South Florida, pretty much from Palm Beach to Miami, which encompasses this area, are pretty much from somewhere else. There's not a lot of native Floridians here in South Florida. A lot of people are from New York, Boston, Philly, DC. A lot of people here from Chicago. You name it. South Florida is pretty much a melting pot from people from somewhere up north. You only run into the true Floridian natives when you get like north of Orlando. Even Orlando can be very diverse melting pot. But when you start to get like past Central Florida, north of Orlando, north, that's when you really run into the true Florida natives, which can be a little country and redneckish. But when you come, Palm Beach, Fort Lauderdale, Miami, it's a big ass city, man. It's like being in New York or of the South. I mean, it's city. There's rural neighborhoods. There's nice suburbs. I live in a nice, quiet suburb out west. I don't like to live close to the madness, but I like to have access to everything. But it's a great vibe. It's a city vibe with a lot of suburbs and rural areas. But it's a very diverse culture here. Very diverse. All right, Blair asks, how do you fine tune frequencies when spirits are speaking? Well, you got to discipline yourself to command the spirit. Like, if they're speaking and you're not understanding what they're saying, commanding the spirit is as simple as asking, but not asking with doubt. Ask the spirit to identify itself. What is your name? What is it you want me to know? And if they're saying something you can't understand, ask them to clearly identify what it is they're saying. Will it happen on the first time? No, you might find that takes a little consistent work that you might have to stay at. But the way you're going to fine tune it is make sure not only are you feeling that commanding power verbally, but you're feeling it within here. Because usually why sometimes you can't fine tune the frequencies that subconsciously you have self-doubt or blockages. That's making you not be able to clearly hear what's being communicated. All right. All right, Woke Media asks, from your perspective and research, is the 9 in vortex mathematics also connected to the black flame? Carbon equals 666. We know 6 is just an inverted 9. Another transformation of energy. Again, when Duma presented his question about the 9 angles, from a perspective as a magician and an adept, yes, you can look at that and make that connection. Now, remember, the important thing is if Duma, what he said earlier, and what Woke Media you're saying now, if that's from your perspective, if that's how you look at it and it resonates with you and you've gotten some growth out of it, then absolutely, most definitely. From a neutral perspective, as a whole, can that be looked at that? Again, I would say that there's a connection. You know, there's definitely, that's not a coincidence that the symbolism is connected. Now, when you look at it and read it, are they going to straight out say that? No, probably not. But I think the important thing and the growth in our work is for us to see what we're seeing. Remember, one thing I always invoke the spirits, and one thing I say with Santa Muerte in my invocations, because she has the symbol of the owl. And the owl, as we know, is a nocturnal creature and has impeccable night vision. And the reason why you'll see the owl synonymous with gateway deities and spirits of the dead, I always connect with the symbol of the owl via Santa Muerte to give me the inner vision to see spiritually, to see things for what they truly are. So I find myself connecting with concepts that somebody else may not look at it like that, but I know the spirit is making me see it like that for a particular reason, because it's for my growth, for my path, and it's a tool that I can use moving forward that's going to help me grow. So I say that to your question, Woke Media, and back to Duma's question earlier, that's the spirit communicating with you. You're getting a perspective that somebody else may not see and may not be agreed with mainstream academically, but who gives a shit? Because we know this path goes beyond that. And as I've said many times before, why other people may not look at it like that, because some people, in my opinion, over-intellectualize shit. I think when you're getting a communication from the spirit, when you're seeing connections like that, numbers and things are lining up, that's a personal experience. That's a communication from the spirit. So definitely roll with that. But as a whole, yeah, I can see a connection with that, most definitely. It definitely deals with transformation of energy. It definitely deals with evolving, changing, and growing. Remember, one of the key metaphysical concepts is anything that doesn't change dies, right? That's one of the basic principles you learn, one of the beginning stages of metaphysics that you learn. Anything that doesn't change dies. What's one of the 7 Hermetic principles, the doctrine of vibration? Nothing is ever rest. Things are always moving, right? When dealing with vibration and rhythm. There's a science behind that. There's so much stuff. A lot of the questions, believe it or not, that people asking tonight, I can connect to the 7 Hermetic principles of Tahuti, because there's so much stuff encoded in there. So definitely a connection. Yeah, and Oni brings out, Berto's out. He brings up, I've heard this before. This question has come up in the past. What about tattoos? Could that affect your melanin? Now, this topic has come up several times over the years. I myself have some tattoos. I'm not a big tattoo head. I got a couple on my arms, forearms. That's it. And I believe Dr. Edward Bruce Bynum, this came up on one of his shows, and I believe he's got something in his book where he touches on it. An excess amount of ink, it can, yes. Now, there's different levels because a lot of these tattoo artists, and I'm not knowledgeable on the different types of ink, some of them have more level of synthetics than others. I couldn't break that down because, again, I'm not a tattoo artist, not familiar with the inks. But I have heard they can to some extent. Now, I would say more so to somebody who's a tattoo head. But here's the thing that counterbalances that. So I want to be clear. I haven't said that. So it doesn't mean you shouldn't have tattoos. The symbols that you're putting on you is the most important thing when it comes to that. That bypasses that. Because if you're getting tattoos, and most of my tattoos are sigils or symbols, probably outside of my Yankee tattoo, but that's a sigil or symbol to me because growing up a Yankees fan was a way of life. It's part of my very early childhood since I can remember. Probably first started my first game, and I was only probably 7 years old. I remember turning on the TV and catching a 1978 World Series, Yankees and Dodgers. How I remember, because right when I turned on the TV, the first character I saw was Tommy Lasorda, who managed that team. Fell in love with Greg Nettles, Willie Randolph, Jim Spencer, Mickey Rivers, Oscar Gamble, you name it. Ron Guidry, Louisiana Lightning. Now, while I grew up in New York, everybody was Met fans. I'm born and raised in Queens, New York, that side of town, which was 5-10 minute ride from Shea Stadium, or what's known as Citi Field right now. My side of town, everybody's Met fans. I was Yankee fan, but that Yankee logo has significance to me, and my other tattoos are just magical sigils. That counteracts that because the sigils represent and resonate certain energy. So that kind of counterbalances. So when you're just randomly putting shit on that holds no significance, it even affects you more. So as long as to the practitioner it has significance, is it going to cause over the period of a long period of time serious issues? No, it's not going to affect you on that level, because obviously if it did, we'd have a history of that, and it's not a documented history of that. But it can, to a very minute extent, affect your melanin. But more so not the neuromelanin, the neuromelanin, the physical melanin. Okay. But again, to a very minute level. I wouldn't really worry about it personally. Oni types in, Shitapep feels like you're being terrorized trying to sleep or closing your eyes feeling fearful. Yes. Spirit and ego is real simple. Okay. When you're making shit up, so people think they're connected to the spirit, and only the person would know if they're making shit up. That's your ego. If you know you are, or think you are, tapping into shit that you're really not tapping into. When you're working in harmony with the spirit just flows through you. And again, I got to use the example of the working Saturday. As Angel said, well, it wasn't about the spirit work with us, not because of our planning or lack thereof, but because of our participation or our intent. I think when your intent is in line, the ego is put where it needs to be. Now, the ego is good because the ego is what protects you in your life. The ego is what gives you your own opinion. But when it runs amok and it controls you and puts you in precarious situations, then it becomes a problem. But I think if you're working in harmony with the spirit, it keeps the ego suppressed at the right times. So when you're working in union and harmony with the spirit, the ego can never dominate that situation. Where you see it do, like I can tell when motherfuckers, we call it moose, right? When a motherfucker's telling fairy tales. Come on, how many of us have been in discussions or sitting there kicking it with somebody or a group of people, and when Colonel McBragg is running his mouth and making up lies and telling war stories? That's the ego. So those that are in harmony with the spirit also have the gift of being able to detect that from a mile away. So again, when the intent is in the right place, it's focused, it's aligned with your work, it's always going to keep that in check. That's the difference. Or that's how you're able to tell the difference, if it's ego or if it's the spirit. Yes, all things are connected yet separated. Because that's what you're not supposed to, again, as adept and magicians on this path, we are not interested in becoming one with the universe. That's fluffy shit. We study and master the concept. We know all things are connected in some shape, form, or fashion, but yet they are separate. Your goal as a magician is to retain your uniqueness, which is your individuality. That's what makes you you. Just think, if everybody was the same, this world would be boring as shit. Okay, that's what sparks your interest in affiliating with other people. They have a quality or a characteristic that makes them unique and why you want to connect with them. Just think if we all were the same and on every level, this would be a boring place. I'm not sure what the Cascadia comment was, but Kieran will black that off. I don't know if you were talking about when I was talking about when the spirits were coming. I don't want to block that off. I know that's more of a Santeria or Ifa tradition. I wanted to embrace it. I was actually wanted more from that experience, especially the part when I was awoke and the door started turning liquidy and the knob opened, and I wanted, that's what the spirit had to communicate. So I'm always thinking when that stuff happens, first, I don't have any fear. I don't feel like anything's there to harm or attack me. I never do. I get emails all the time. What about working with trickster spirits? I can't really speak on that because I've never had really issues with that over the years. Not because I'm perfect, not because I'm special. It's just I do my due diligence. I get myself to the point where I'm comfortable. I don't ever feel fear or like the need to do some type of protection or banishment because my mind and intent is always focused on knowing all this energy is productive. So I don't want to block any of that stuff off. I want to embrace it and master it and assimilate it and experience it. The only way it becomes bad or negative if you think in your mind, this is something that can harm me. What gives it the life and the power are your thoughts. So if you think that this energy that I'm feeling can harm me, it can. But you're really harming yourself because you're fueling that energy. And if you're uncomfortable, I always say it's again about commanding the spirit. Ask the spirit to depart. It's that simple. If you say it with firm conviction, it will depart. You won't need to do anything, but obviously just give a firm command. But again, I don't have much experience in that avenue. I don't have problems with that like that. I've never really felt like I've encountered something that I wasn't conscious or aware of what it was or feared it or felt like it was going to harm me. I just don't feel like that. So it's tough for me to relate to that. All right. Yeah, and that's a normal sometimes feeling that Patra typed in earlier after doing work like that, feeling extremely drained. That's usually confirmation of the amount of energy that was involved. No, we didn't run into the orphans. Yeah, the orphans game. Classic movie, man. Got to go back and watch The Warriors. Classic. Alicia's comments from Saturday's ritual. The days following, I just saw a spider and more spiders. Yeah, that's the spider goddess. She made her presence clear at that work. The point was that the spider could see with all the eyes, and believe me, what an amazing sensation. Like Rose said, the all-seeing eye. Yeah, and that's a good point. What the multiple eyes of the spider can see on a whole nother level. Yeah, Angel broke this down the whole history, a 300-year-old cemetery. Which it was connected to an old. I didn't research the Episcopal church that was next to it. You can tell by the type of tombstones and type of memorials and monuments they had in there. It was very. It was old. Like I said, the obelisk. We had the video. It was kind of dark. If you see in the video, there's a shot of the obelisk, but it was very dark in there. You can see the outline of it in the video if you look close. It was a pretty nice, tall obelisk, and like I say, man, the spirits had every element there for us. Egypt, I mean, you name it. We tapped into everything, but I found it pretty cool that we set up shop right in front of that obelisk. So a lot of power there. All right. And I see, oh, Janice is up in here. I don't know if she's still here, but she was here earlier. She says, thank you, everyone. It was a wonderful experience and definitely looking forward for more. Glad to hear that. Yeah, Alicia's confirmed. Yeah, that was Mandy, man. Mandy. Yeah, we didn't realize that was her in the cemetery, too, man. She must have stepped in the pile of Dookie. Boo Dookie. All right. Kiona, I'm not sure if Alicia has a YouTube. I don't think she does. She's in here. You could probably side messenger. Not that I know of. All right, what else we got here? I'm just going to finish these and wrap it up. Hold on, what did I miss here? All right. Welcome. I don't know if End or Oversoul, if you're new, welcome to the channel. Yeah, I was always visit the old when I'm there. So Angel says, "Yo, brother B, those spirits in my backyard playground, the cemetery, are always willing to work because a lot of them are abandoned. Most of them are 200 to 300 years old." Yeah, it was definitely. I like shit like that. I like the more ancient type of stuff. It's just got a different vibe, different energy to it. The newest cemeteries are just so modern. They don't have those older style looking ancient type of graves. And again, the monuments or the mausoleums and all that type of shit. I like the more older style. So you could definitely feel that energy in that cemetery. And again, if you go look at the clips, you can see it was extremely dark in there. We did our best with what we were working with. Wanted to give people a feel. And mind you, that was literally, those two short videos were shot right after the ritual ended. We were there for quite a bit and didn't even get disturbed or nothing. It's like I felt like we had the whole cemetery literally to ourselves, and we did. But we tried to capture what elements you could see due to the fact, obviously, we're outside, it's extremely dark. But I think we did the best. So if you haven't seen those two short clips, check them out. Give you a little feel. We took a quick pass by the camera with everybody that was there. Again, we had 11 people show up, and counting myself. Several had to cancel the day of. We were originally slated to have a total of 15 to 17, and we wound up getting 11. I know Keisha had to cancel. Crystal. Woke Media was running late, couldn't get there on time. And then there was somebody else. So it was like 4 or 5 that canceled and couldn't make it due to certain situations. So hopefully those that were not there, that couldn't make it, make the next gathering. And newer people that run into this that are from the New York City area. But we formed the crew. And here's the deep thing, which we discussed. We know the significance of the number 11 because that represents the Clipothic tree, the 11 bodes of the Clipothic, 10 going into the 11. So I knew that number was significant, very important. Because after you get to the 10th, which is Lilith, you go into the void, and the darkness and the boat is actually the 11, right? The 11 deities that Tiamat birth. All of that plays a significant connection. So that's why I said earlier, the 11 people that show the foundation. And I think what I would like to do after coming up with a group name, give each individual a name that's associated with one of those branches on that Clipothic tree. We'll talk about that another time. So yeah. Okay, so Lisa answered no channel. Okay. Angel, yes, the black flame most definitely can manifest in many other traditions. It just might be known as something else. And I mentioned briefly about that earlier and go into it. Yes. I mean, let's look at it like in Ifa, the Ori oracle, like the divination, the Apelitre of the Babalawos, right? That could be symbolic. We could look at that as magicians or adepts as a tool of the black flame. Yeah, I mean, that's just one. We can go through many different traditions. Like, for an example, we could take it very mundane and basic, right? The Catholic Church, for an example, always keeps by the tabernacle where they keep the communion or the Eucharist. You'll always see on an altar in a Catholic church or somewhere in a Catholic church a white candle encased in a red encasing that's lit constantly. It's supposed to represent the presence of Jesus or Christ. That can be a concept likened to a representation of the black flame. So yeah, you can go from the very mundane, basic monotheistic religions to a lot of other spiritual systems and traditions. So most definitely. Yes, peace, mythos, peace. Peace to all the gods and the goddesses who are doing the real work. Most definitely. Yeah, Patra. No, I have free conferencecall.com. It's free. That's the platform I use to do my private classes. I just send you guys a link and you just come in. If you're on a phone or a tablet, you just need to download the app. If you use a computer or a laptop, you don't. You can just click the link and come straight in. So yeah, it's a very similar platform to Zoom, but it's free. You can have as many people as you want up in there. So yeah, I will gather that in the next day or two, see what's a good night. I'm going to send an email out, and I'm going to send you guys an email tomorrow finding out what days, and I want to make sure we're all there. So I want to find a time everybody can respond back within the group, the days and times that are best for them, and hopefully we all can find a common ground where we can, speak. That works out for everybody. Yes, yeah, West Coast, yeah, true. Like I said, I would like to definitely maybe come out there at some point and do something. So that's possible. People there could set something up, and there's a lot of. I'm sure I'm not too familiar with the West Coast though. All right, we also have. Oh yeah, yeah, the Black Flame. Shit. Yeah, I know that. I meant to say that, Patch. That did smell a little bit different. About to ask you about that. Yeah, Angel got a lot out of that shit. For the following 2 days after, most definitely. And that's why I was saying when we did the class, we had the gathering Saturday, you'll find, which you guys have probably already found this in your personal work, you'll find stuff stays with you for a while. It's something that you continuously get grown from it well after the fact, after the ritual is over. Yeah. Yeah, intuitive enchantments. I know Angel knows it. I believe it wasn't far. I don't think it was Woodlawn. I think it was close to it. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm not sure. Angel could probably. That's his hood. So he knows. I think from what he told me, if he's still here, it was close to there, or he knows the name. Yeah. So if he's still here, I'll let him address that. But I know it was in the vicinity. Well, yeah, intuitive. When we do the next one, obviously we're going to get together and plan another one down the line. Hopefully you can make it. Yeah, the power of the black flame, again, it represents everything that we were talking about earlier, which we correlate to being the gifts of Set, which is the gifts of the black flame. The knowledge, the intuition, the spiritual powers, enhancing your magical abilities, manifestation. Pretty much, that's why I was saying earlier, all those things, they're different. The black flame, the isolated consciousness, the gift of Set, Xeper, remanifestation. Though they all are different, but they all are connected in some shape, form, or fashion. They work, in conjunction with each other. That's the important thing to understand. So that's the power. All these, all these, the black flame is what transforms you. And again, everything we discussed, if you go back to the meat of the video, that is the power of the black flame. The isolated consciousness is the doorway, in my opinion, to tapping in to those gifts of the black flame. So it starts with shadow work on self, and then it proceeds from there. And then it starts with making order out of your chaos. That is probably the greatest gift of the black flame. But here it is in a nutshell. If you want the most powerful gift or power of the black flame is knowledge of self. When you have knowledge of self, you are now open and receptive to be working and tapping into what the black flame represents. So it's all of those things. Yeah, Stallone is the GOAT, Patra. I mean, he was homeless on the street. Whether you like him or not is irrelevant. But he stuck to his guns. And remember, if you know the history, they wanted to just buy the script for Rocky. They didn't want him to play Rocky at first. Can you imagine how his life could have possibly not been? He stuck to his guns. He refused to sell it unless they allowed him to play the character. He's been making money off of that character since 1976. That Rambo. Matter of fact, I got the new Rambo coming out next month. Two of my favorite characters growing up as a kid. That's what made me going to the Daily News Golden Glove boxing at the Police Boys Club. You know, everybody wanted to be Rocky after they saw Rocky. But I like the concept. It's always about, I've heard people talk, some of those movies were racist. I don't look at it like that. It's about the underdog always overcoming obstacles. And that's always been the theme of the movies. It's the no-names, the underdogs, the little people, always finding a way to persevere and become, successful. But the whole Rocky trilogy, even the Creeds, the last two Creeds, man. I probably in 1982, just to show you, because that's how my mind is. I remember shit. I don't forget. Rocky 3 came out in 1982. It was released in the summer of 82. I remember at the time going to the movies in Queens. The movies at that time, I kid you not, you can go look it up, $2. Back then, I know you can't do that now. It's quite changed. We would go pay $2 to go in the movies. We would stay all day. We'd catch 3 or 4 movies. We'd be there all day. I think we were counting, literally. We started to count, me and my friends. We must have saw in the summer of 82, Rocky 3. We must have saw that movie hundreds of times. We were going almost every day in the summertime, saying it 3-4 times a day. My favorite one is probably Rocky 2, which most people don't really talk about that. That's my favorite one. I know 5 gets a bad rap because they said the story and the concept was bad. I didn't really think so. The scene in there where he's reminiscing in the gym after Mickey, 2 movies after Mickey passed, what inspired him to write that scene, that was actually a speech that Gus D'Amato gave to Mike Tyson. When you see him saying that, he motivates us and gives him a reason to live. Stallone took that straight from Gus D'Amato, Life of Gus D'Amato's book. And we all know the story of Gus D'Amato and Mike Tyson. Stallone knows his body. Actually, if you do not know, the Rocky movies are based on the story of Chuck Wepner. If you know who Chuck Wepner is, Chuck Wepner, the whole concept of Rocky was how a guy had to pull out of a championship fight and they had to find a last-minute replacement. Well, that happened with Muhammad Ali and Chuck Wepner. And Muhammad Ali, if you look at Apollo Creed in the first movie, he was very Muhammad Ali-like. And Muhammad Ali didn't take Chuck Wepner serious. And if you go look the history, Chuck Wepner went 15 rounds with Ali. And I believe he was the only guy to go 15 rounds with Ali. So that's what inspired Stallone to write the Rocky movies, was the story of Muhammad Ali and Chuck Wepner. It's interesting if you go look at it. And he wrote that one incident impacted his life. See, this is what I'm trying to say. That's magic when you look at it. That one incident impacted his life so profound. That was 1976, 86, 96, 206, 2016. Here we are 40 plus years later, and the character is a cultural American icon to this day. Whether you hate or love the character or the actor, it's a cultural American icon. It's crazy. But he was able to tap in and run with it. And again, he stuck to his guns. He wanted to play the role. They were fighting him. They didn't want him to play the role. But it's based on the Chuck Wepner Muhammad Ali incident. That's how the concept of Rocky actually came about. Rocky was, was symbolic of Chuck Wepner, and Apollo Creed was based after Muhammad Ali. And that's why when you watch the actual movie, you see Creed was supposed to fight a contender who got hurt, and last minute they're scrambling, so they try to make light of it and find a club boxer, and that's what Chuck Wepner was. He wasn't really a top ranked contender. It was only somebody they could find last minute. They did a movie recently. I didn't like it because they made Chuck Wepner look really fucked up in it. I guess he had drug problems, but they made him look like a super drug addict in the movie. Didn't put him in a good light. I can't remember the name of it. You can find it on one of them streaming apps, and it'll come. But yeah. Yeah, definitely, Elisa. When we have them conversations, we will definitely exchange those ideas. Yeah, T-Mobile. I wouldn't doubt it. Yeah, that's probably why I couldn't reach you on your phone, Oni. All right, I think we're almost here at the end. Mm-hmm. Shit. I'm not I'm not sure of that question you're asking. You gotta be a little more specific. What did you say about learning who your daemon is? I gotta remind me of what I said. That's a little bit vague. Beasts of the laboratory. Do you know of any spirits or deities connected to possums and rats? Not that I can think of offhand. Now, I know the rat. I know with some of those creatures like Hecate, but a specific deity that's synchronized, not saying that there is not one out there. I am a little exhausted. I can't think of one offhand at the moment. Not saying that doesn't mean that there's one out there. So at the moment, I cannot think of one. Yeah, the video is dark. The cemetery was just dark enough. But that's what I was saying earlier. It was just too dark on the video. You could see. I mean, you could, because I know when the obelisk was shot, you could see the outline of it. But again, it was very dark on the video. But the cemetery itself was dark, but it wasn't dark to the point where you couldn't see. But it was dark. It was good. It was just, in my opinion, just right. And we had enough light to see what we were doing from candlelight and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Spirit driven? No, I don't. I don't open the comments on my videos, and I'll tell you why. I've never have from day one because of you tend to get more nonsense and bullshit, and I don't want to either. I mean, I prefer people to just send me an email because I found not only that, not just with myself, because back in the day, yeah, I mean, I have no problem having to address it. It just becomes time consuming. And then again, in my opinion, you tend to get more bullshit you deal with. Not only that, and then other people start getting into bullshit with each other. So I don't want that on the page. But that's not even the main reason why I do it. The main reason why I do it is one, and I'm sure your intent is good, and others, want to dialogue and comment in a more respectful and intellectual manner, and that's cool. The main reason why I do it, again, my approach has always been from day one. This is information I just share. I'm not really concerned with if an individual agrees with it or not. That shit is irrelevant to me. And I've said that's been my position since day one. So I disable the comments because I don't want to have to dig in somebody's ass and make them rethink their existence because they want to get on there with some stupid shit, not just directed towards me, but out of other people who are, respectful followers and listeners of the channel. So for that reason, again, I don't even bother with it, never had. So no, I will never leave the comments open on the videos for that reason. I won't, because I just don't want that energy on the page. So for those that have productive things they want to comment, shoot me an email. I have no problem with that. And I try to dialogue with as many people as I can. It's always great to hit the like button and subscribe. But that's the reason. I don't want to, be sucked into that energy, more so for the, people that got, bugs up their ass, and they, keyboard gangsters that hide behind the keyboards, like to talk shit, don't have a picture on their profile. So to me, anybody that talks shit and don't even want to show their face, you're not even worthy of my time, because it shows me right there you're a punk and you don't want to be seen. So you got to realize when you're doing something like this openly, people see me. Most people see me. They know who I am. I don't see most people. I don't know what most people that watch the channel look like. See, and for that reason, I will not open the channel up, more so for the people that got nothing better to do and sit on their computers all day, going on to platforms, bitching and complaining about what they like and they don't like. I'll be damned if I waste my time on that stuff. So again, my job, I just present the information. Love it, like it, hate it, leave it. That's up to you. I'm not asking you with everything I'm saying. I couldn't care if you do or you don't. But that's the reason why. And for all those that might wonder why I've never done that, I haven't done it since day one. I have no plans to. All right. Yeah. Well, the thing is, when you look at to Diona, I'm sorry, Diosa, which I believe that's Rosa. When I was talking about the candle of the pilot being lit, and like you said, they liken it to the Sacred Heart. There's also something that's connected to that too, symbolic of the black flame, Sacred Heart, like Susanna, which I've mentioned before in the past. They also have something that they do in the Catholic Church called the Exposition of the Blessed Sacrament, which literally looks like a sun that they put on display, and in the center of it is a Eucharist, which supposed to represent Christ, that they'll lay out, and they have a ritual that opens it, they put it on the altar. The priest, it's so sacred, the priest can't even touch it. He's got to have his shawl on, and he's got to wrap the shawl in his hands and hold it. It's that fucking sacred. And then people will meditate, pray the rosary. It's exposed all day, and then there's a ritual to close it and put it back. That's another symbolicism in the Catholic Church with the black flame. So yes. Man. Yeah, Angel. I know you. Yeah, get a clearer picture of that. I can make it out the name on that gravestone, but okay, it was St. Paul Church on Westchester Avenue. That's where we were. That's where the cemetery is near. He was fucking with that Lucero Nandoki, huh? Yeah. Oh, so Angel says the area was Crosstown and the Park Chester Castle Hill section of the Bronx. Yeah, there are a lot of deities where the rat, the possum are synonymous with a deity. Yes, and that's like Angel was also mentioning too. Elegua Ogun, true. But like when you say the ram or something with Ra, or the hawk with Heru, I can't think of a specific deity that is synchronized with that. But there are some that are connected with those creatures. Then Master Splinter from the Ninja Turtles. No, stop. I don't know why he just came to mind. All right. All right. Peace. All right, people. Been on this thing for 2 hours and 40 minutes. That's going to do it for this evening. Again, want to give a final shout out to all the people in New York that came out on Saturday. Much love to Alicia, aka the witch with her witch bag. Ritual couldn't have done it without that. Shouts out to Brother Angel for locking down the spot in the Bronx, in the cemetery, and to all the other people that showed up and helped, part of the journey. Sister Patra, Janice, Raven, Mama Muerte, Dave, Fashad. Don't want to forget Fashad, Rosa. Hey, like I said, we're going to move forward. I'm going to send you guys an email. We are going to set up. Let me see what you guys respond back. What's a good time we could all get on the conference video and start having little discussions, little build sessions, and plan our next event in New York. And again, I've said from day one, if anyone, wants to plan something in their hometown, set it up, contact me, and we'll go from there. All right. Other than that, don't forget tomorrow night, Dr. Edward Bruce Bynum will be here, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We're going to be talking about ancient civilizations and modern science. All right. He'll be here tomorrow night, 8 o'clock. Richard K. Page will be here on the 14th of September. That's a Saturday, 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Special start show due to the fact he's in the UK. So we have to start early on a Saturday. This Sunday, I will be on Zoom with our brother Ravana Noon. We'll be talking about subjective diseases and illnesses. You must contact him at darkoccultist99 at outlook.com for an invite. He does his classes on Zoom, and then he uploads them to his YouTube channel. So if you want to participate in that on Sunday, hit him up. We got the ritual again next Friday, August 30th, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The ritual, the pentagram is set right here in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. You must send me an email to request an invite. Cutoff date is the 28th. After that, we are taking no more invites for that ritual. 25th to the 27th of October will be the Journey of the Black Adept Conference #2 here in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Email me at the same email in the description box of the videos here. 3-day event of workshops, classes, presentations, rituals, socializing, hanging out. It's going to be a fun event. I know a couple people from New York that are already coming. Looking forward to all the people that are going to be showing up to that event. That should be a good time. Always is when we get together. And readings and consultations. Again, tomorrow I'm going to be neck deep, busy. I'm going to be going back at it hard tomorrow after being off. I only did readings during the week in New York for people that came to me in person. If you're interested in a reading or a consultation, I can still get to you in the 2 to 3 day window, but that's the earliest I can get to you right now. It is pretty booked right now due to the fact that I had some already booked and more coming in. So I got to do some serious work to get caught up, but I'll be caught up by the end of the week, going into early next week. So send me an email. Let me know the time zone you live in, what kind of reading or consultation, specify a specific reading. If you have a preference, it could be a reading with Lucifer and the Goetian demons. If you want a reading with the spirits of the dead, a reading with the Orishi, or a reading with the Budon deities or the Loa, an Egyptian rune reading, just let me know. If you don't have a specification, I use the reading that I want, the tool or the system that I decide, and we go from there. But specify in the email the days and times you are available and the time zone you live in. Very important, so it saves time for me. Back and forth email, I can give you a clear-cut email of what I have available that works with your schedule and my schedule. Other than that, that's all I got for you guys this evening. Again, Dr. Edward Bruce Bynum will be here tomorrow night, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Again, peace to all the gods and goddesses on this path that are doing the work. And I'll see everybody here on Thursday. Peace.